Welcome back to another episode of Raw Thoughts, Me, Myself and AI, where I talk about all the issues I think about my life with ChatGPT, and we delve into it and where I could have gone and made better decisions, or where I didn't make better decisions and why I didn't make them and where it stemmed from. So it's like an open therapy for me. So episode 3, we are talking about the intelligent man who becomes careless. What does that make him? So men pride themselves on being logical, strategic, disciplined, yet some of the smartest guys turn into fools when it comes to women. Why can a man run a business, master his craft, lead others, but lose all sense when desire walks into the room? So why doesn't intelligence protect us against lust? Why do men think intelligence will save them from bad choices when biology has been outsmarting brilliance since the beginning of time? You're predisposed to wanting what you want. You can't change that. Now, and when I say predisposed, soon as kind of like puberty kicks in, then it's like a whole switch has changed, and you now start seeing what it is you want from another person. And this goes both ways. But if you can't stop it, why are you blamed for falling for it if it's something that has been going on forever? So it's a difficult one for me to answer that one, because is it a bad choice? Who knows? I don't know if it's a bad choice, but it's a choice that most of us make, and we can't stop it. So that one's tough. I might come back to that one. Why do we act like self-control is guaranteed by IQ, when in reality, lust doesn't care how smart you are? Oof. Again, most people are only as faithful as their options. And if there's an option you have and it's something you want, then you're going to go and get it. There's no two ways about it. You could be the smartest one in the room, but even the smartest ones have things going on in their private life. When that door shuts, is crazy. So self-control is definitely not guaranteed by IQ, because it's a different part of your brain that you're using. And if you're using so much to be or have an high IQ, then how much do you have on the self-control sector? Why do some of the brightest men end up with the dumbest stories of downfall? Presidents, athletes, leaders, all done by the same hunger. Again, I don't think it's the same hunger. I think it's options. When you're viewed as something here versus whatever else is below, and you're viewed as your tier is higher, then your options become more. Now, you put yourself in a scenario in a room full of 100 men with 1,000 women, and you instantly put yourself at 6 foot, and that takes out 40 of you. Then you have 6 figures, that takes out another 30 of you. Then you put goes gym, takes out 10. Then you something else, takes out 10. Then there's 5 left. Those 1,000 women are now looking at those 5 men. Those 5 men have 1,000 women. That's 200 women each. Of course they're going to have a downfall, because they have more to choose from being in those positions, or being a prize in those people's eyes. And that happens even on the lower level of things. Whereas if you're just take it as aesthetics, a good looking guy in decent nick, carries himself well in public or whatever, people will like you. And then you start getting more and more attention. Yes, it's succumbing to that attention is a problem that we have to deal with as men. But if you're getting it, eventually you're going to be like, I'm just going to feed into this. And it's not an excuse, but you have to understand, if you're around crackheads for too long, crack will come appealing at some point. Doesn't mean you're going to do it, but most people didn't think most crackheads didn't think they was going to do crack. Look at them now. Why is it easier to solve complex problems at work than to sit with sexual loneliness at night? Because of accessibility, I think. We have so much access to things and people than we've ever had before. This would have worked 15, 20 years ago, but now with where everyone is at in the world, I can speak to someone halfway across the world, liaise with them, and then arrange something. Like, it could be anything and anyone, but it's like problems at work it's just work. It's work gets done, work gets started, you get paid, it's done and finished. Whereas sexual loneliness is an urge. You haven't got that fix, and that's the thing. So a couple stats. Infidelity rates: 20% of men admit to cheating compared to 30% of women. Education intelligence doesn't lower that risk. Yeah, I've cheated and I'm smarter than a lot of people. Does that make me dumb? Yes. If you cheat on something good, it makes you dumb. Yes. But it doesn't make me dumb in terms of academically. Dopamine and testosterone spikes during sexual pursuit override logical decisions making. Even high IQ men show the same impulsivity in lab studies. I get that, because even if going to the gym or whatever, when testosterone spikes or my dopamine level spikes, the logical decision is don't do another set. But it's like, nah, I'm doing another set. And then it wasn't the smartest decision, or it wasn't the smartest decision to then do an extra workout or go to that conditioning club after, whatever it may be, but you still do it anyway, because it's feeding that fix that you want to keep that joy high. So it's just a tough one. Why do smart men lower their standards? Why does knowing better not equal doing better when lust is involved? Because lust is everything. Lust is more powerful than love. Because lust, the more you lust someone, you more you want them. If you love someone, and I'm just going off of like what I perceive as love. If you love someone, it just means you care about them. It doesn't necessarily mean you want them. And wanting someone and being wanted is a massive thing for people, me and myself included. Like, wanting and being wanted is sexy, and I think that's what we crave as men. Whereas women are always viewed as the prize, but when really men want to feel like the prize too, and lust is a thing, and passion is higher when it's lust, and it's a bit more raunchy when it's lust. Whereas a lot of men want to live out their fantasies with lustful encounters, not loved encounters. Why do men settle for attention from people they wouldn't even respect in daylight? Again, it's back to that, just being wanted. The more wanted you feel, the more you feel like the guy. And whether it's coming from the wrong person, that's up for debate. And whether you would even respect them in the daylight is a bit strong. But I hear it. There is people that will sleep with someone that won't even talk to them. Like I don't get that. But I get it. If you're trying to keep it private, that's one thing. But if you just repulsed by them, that's a whole other thing. Why does validation through sex become the measure of worth, even when it costs us dignity? Why does validation through sex become the measure of worth? I don't think it does. I think it does with women. And when does it cost us dignity? It only costs you dignity when you're doing things you don't want to do. If you want to do it, then it shouldn't cost you your dignity at all, in the slightest, because you're doing something you want to do and your dignity is not up for debate. Why do we brag about quantity over quality? Are we chasing women or chasing proof we're not as empty as we feel? I don't know if it's chasing quantity over quality, because you can have quality and quantity. Chances are it's going to be very low of having that, but you can have both. But you also need to kind of look at, is it filling a void? Yeah, you know what? It probably is. because you don't have that kind of meaningful encounter where the quality starts to rise, and then you're starting to grow with that person, even if it's just sex. If it's just more of like a one-time only thing or a couple times, you ain't even got used to that playing surface. You're not even used to playing with that team. The balance ain't right. You're taking first touches in places where you should be turning and shooting. You're shooting when you should be taking a touch, right? And sometimes play out from the back. There's all types of things you should be doing on those pitches that you're not doing because you ain't built up the chemistry. When you build up the chemistry, you're trying to no-look passes, you're doing it with flip-flaps, all of that stuff, and they're reciprocating it. They're moving with you. It's like Alves and Messi down that right side for prime Barca. That's what you want. That's what you want when it comes to those things. But if you're not getting that, it's because you haven't spent the time to do so. People with low self-control are 2 to 3 times more likely to engage in risky sexual behavior. Knowledge without discipline is useless. But again, if you've got low self-control, that doesn't mean you're low in intelligence. It just means that side of your brain is just like, cool, I'm with it all, so I'm ready to go for it. All right, the gap between knowing and doing. Why do men with knowledge still act like fools? Is the body louder than the brain? Yes, it can be, because no matter what, you will wake up aroused for whatever reason. Whatever you've dreamt about, whatever you might even dream, might not remember the dream, but you'll wake up aroused. Now you're chasing a fix to that problem. So some people use porn as an outlet, some people use another person as an outlet, but the outlet still needs to be met. So it's not acting a fool, it's just acting through what they need to release. Why does shame cut deeper for the intelligent man? Because he can't hide being ignorant. Shame cuts deeper for the intelligent man because it's you should have known better. That's what people will say, but they don't correlate. Knowing better and being intelligent are 2 different things. Because you should know better about one thing doesn't mean you're not intelligent about anything else. So it's just, he doesn't need to hide behind the ignorance. He just needs to understand that it's okay to be intelligent, but not okay to make mistakes. That's silly. He's going to make mistakes. He just needs to be a bit more smarter about them. Why is the distance between knowing better and doing better where most of us destroy ourselves? Because doing better isn't factual. Like, it's someone else's opinion. Like, oh, you slept with that person, or you should be doing better. Based on who? Your viewpoint of it or my viewpoint of it? So I think it's too much of a perceptional based comment for me to really reply on that one with, why do we weaponize intelligence to justify mistakes instead of prevent them? I don't really know. Why do we weaponize intelligence to justify mistakes? A mistake's only a mistake once you've made it. If it's just a thought, then it's just a thought. It's not a mistake. You have to make mistakes in life. You have to, because it's the only way going forward. And whether or not someone else has made a mistake, it doesn't matter. That's their mistake. It's not yours. You need to live the life you've chosen to do and do the wrong things along the way, just to understand that, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, and how this has made me feel, and how I can grow from it, and how I can teach someone else not to. But this is I don't really like this topic. It's very against the intelligent man that he should know better, and he shouldn't know better. He shouldn't know better, he shouldn't do better. He should live his life, make a mistake and learn from that, then he should know better. But if he's never done it before, he shouldn't know better, because everyone's experience is different. Every little experience you have with another person is always going to be different from the other person, because there's too many variables. IQ and EQ are only weakly correlated. You can be brilliant with numbers and clueless with emotions. Facts. Smart men are no less prone to addictive or compulsive sexual behaviors. Studies show education has little impact on risky sex choices. Careless or just unhealed? Why do we say boys will be boys when it's really men refusing discipline? It's society. You can't fight some societal norms. Same with the theory of one foot can go in many shoes, but one shoe can't go in many feet. You break that down how you will. You know what I'm discussing, but men are the foot, women are the shoes. So you that's a societal norm that you can't shake, and boys will be boys is just a way of just saying, cool, whatever. Like, we don't really agree with it, but it is what it is. Why do smart men self-destruct with women? Because lust exposes the boy still running inside the man. Nah, I would say smart men self-destruct with women because they never really, the road it takes to become smart and successful and all of that stuff usually means a sacrifice of not having women for a period of time. Like, I'm talking the higher end of IQ and the higher end of being successful is not having women for a long time. So when you get it and you're more open to it and the options are opening up, that's where you self-destruct, because you've never really had it to experience it. And that's where the change in mindset happens, and that's when they become too obsessed with women, and then it becomes a self-destruct from there. Why do we call it being careless when it's actually being unhealed? But if you don't know what you need to heal from, then it's just careless. And it's something that we all need to understand why we do it, why we make decisions that we make, but looking back on it, we knew we could have probably made a smarter one. Is that carelessness, or is it unhealed? Sometimes it's going to be carelessness, but if you don't know your problems, your childhood traumas, your traumas as an adult, then you're never going to know if it's being unhealed or not. And why do we equate brilliance with maturity when intelligence doesn't fix emotional wounds? Yeah, I don't know why we do that, because I know some mature, fucked up people. Simple as that. And they haven't fixed their emotional wounds, and they're still projecting their bullshit, and they're still trying to justify their actions and this, that, and the third, where you haven't even looked internally as to what's wrong with you and why you've done the things the way you've done them. Just because you're older don't mean shit. You should still do it. Here's a stat for you. Unresolved trauma, childhood trauma is strongly linked to compulsive sexual behaviors. ACE studies show each additional trauma raises risky behavior odds by 35 to 40%. So the more childhood exposures that you've had that are not normal, the more riskier you become as an adult. And that makes sense, because if you look at, let's just say, take prostitutes and sex workers and all of that, there's normally an issue with their childhood. Not all, but there's normally a stem of issue with their childhood. And that's where you kind of got to look at it, and then that risky behavior translate, it goes from one thing. Once you open that door for one risky behavior, there's about 5 other doors after that. Then after those doors, there's 5 other doors after that. And then eventually they're walking through this maze of doors, and they're somewhere they never thought they would be. So, what does it make him? Why not admit an intelligent man who becomes careless isn't dumb, he's just undisciplined? Facts. You can be smart, you can be dumb at the same time, but for 2 different things. You just need to hold that discipline. And that's the same thing with gym. You can go train, you might not eat right, but that's where you need that discipline to merge the 2. Why do we glorify success in every area but ignore when a man's personal life is in ruins? Because it's his personal life. If you're basing his success off business, that's completely separate. If he runs a limited company, you can't treat him like a sole trader. I've had personal life issues, and I've had success in business. What do you want to do? You want to not celebrate my win there because I've taken losses over there? That doesn't work. That's not fair. You take the wins where you can get them, and you understand the losses on the other side. If he didn't have those personal life in ruins, those wins would be even bigger. You realize that to have a win when you've got turmoil happening in the background is a win in itself. Why do we act like being smart excuses recklessness when in reality it makes the hypocrisy louder? It doesn't excuse it. Reality, it doesn't excuse it. But it doesn't make it wrong. Again, you being smart is one thing, and that's one thing. You being reckless is another thing. You've got to be reckless in a lot of things to take risks and become more than what you want to become. But at the same time, by taking those risks, you take more chance in things going wrong. So it's I don't really like that one either. Why not say it plainly? Intelligence without discipline isn't wisdom, it's chaos in a suit. Intelligence without discipline isn't wisdom, it's chaos in a suit. It's only chaos if there's problems that occur from it. You can not have discipline and there be no problems after it. But if you're getting problems outside of it, then yes, it's chaos. So you have to look at it in a way where chaos doesn't affect you in a way where you think it does. You just have to have a bit more control in when you're having the lack of discipline. In surveys, high status men report more infidelity than average men, not because they're less intelligent, but because power plus opportunity plus lack of discipline is a toxic formula and more options arise. Maybe the real tragedy isn't the intelligent man becoming careless. It's that they know better, but don't know how to choose better. And maybe intelligence without discipline isn't intelligence at all. Have a think about that one. That was Raw Thoughts. Me, myself, and AI. I'll see you in the next episode.